All right, here we go. Monday morning. Welcome to Win the Day podcast, Monday morning style. Hope yesterday was awesome. Sunday. We like Sundays. Hope tomorrow's even better than today. Twice as good, maybe even 3 times. But today we're going to talk about what today brings and how we're going to win the day today. And I heard somebody talking. I can't remember exactly where it is because I hear a lot of things. But what they said, I'm paraphrasing here if I can get it right here. What did they say? Let me tell you what they say before I fumble it too hard here. They who walk best have learned to dance. Okay. And that was Alexander Pope. He also said another one back in the day: to err is human, to forgive divine. People heard that one before, I'm sure. But this caught me off guard, or didn't catch me off guard. It brought me on guard. They walk best who have learned to dance. And then the people were talking about it, and it came down to dancers work really hard on very complex or complicated movements, such that by doing so, when they walk the simplest of any of their movements, it's just elegant without trying, right? And that got me thinking, the same thing happens in real estate. When you know your game so well, you become that dancer with elegance that comes without trying. And it's at that point where you become really productive, efficient, and elegant. Quite honestly, if you can do real estate the way a dancer walks, you're winning, right? And so I wrote a little note about it, or a post this morning about it. And it kind of all came together that if you want to be better, or if you want better results, you need to be better. Simple as that. And if you want to be better, you need to practice. And you need to practice till you get to the point where you can be in the moment, riffing, so to speak, while doing well-rehearsed conversations. Okay. That's when you got it going on, because that's when you're thinking or you're not thinking, you're acting and reacting because you already know what's coming, what to expect. And that's when you can be at your best.
It makes me think about the best jazz musicians have mastered the classical. They know the fundamentals, so they can riff. They're not just hitting notes. They know music.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Jamie, hey, good morning from Salt Lake. And you're right. Practice till you can't get it wrong. That is so correct. And Mark, about that jazz thing, it's really interesting. I don't know much about music. I know a little bit. But I do know that jazz musicians generally riff when they're live. They practice their scales over and over and over. They know the runs. They know all that stuff. But when they get on stage, they let it fly. They let their practiced fingers, mind, and soul go where they want to go based on where they've been over and over and over.
Yeah, Gary Keller said that he was talking to a friend of his who was a professional musician. It's amazing all the people he knows. But he asked him about working on stage. And he goes, oh, no, that's the play part. The work is all the hours of practice. That the
For sure. So true. I see it in sports. Back in the day when I was playing sports, you practice, because in the game, there ain't no time to think about what's going on. You're acting and reacting based on the moment. And I think that's what music is. And I think when you're in a listing appointment, it's the same thing. When you're in a buyer interview, it's the same thing. And so let's talk about it for a minute. Bianca, good morning. Let's talk about it for a minute. What do you practice? You know, we talk about it here all the time. You practice your scripts. Right? You can get those scripts in bold. I know they're out there. Mike Ferry has them. I think if you go to mikeferry.com or something, they're probably in there. That's where I learned my basics. I'm pretty confident that Brian Buffini has some sort of something. There's a lot out there. Mark, your group probably has them, or Jake's locker room or something. They're scripts. Okay. Go get those scripts and practice them. Role play them over and over and over and over until you can be spontaneous in the moment doing a well-rehearsed thing. The other thing you're going to want to practice is knowing your inventory. right? We've talked about that. You got to know the inventory. You got to go preview these properties inside out, upside down.
If you were in real retail, you'd walk the floor and you'd know your stock.
The good ones do.
Yeah, the good ones do. The ones that you can't find that
Right.
are just taking a paycheck.
Right.
They're stockers. All they do is stock.
The good ones do. Yeah, it's the same thing here. You need to know if there's smells associated with cigarettes, pets, food, whatever, or who knows what. You need to know the vibe that the place puts off, the everything that about it. And then you need to study the market trends. You need to know if there's points in the year that are better or worse, if there's points in an economic cycle that are better or worse, all those types of things, such that when you're in the moment having conversations with buyers and sellers and owners, you are the expert. And I wrote about this person, and the simple ask is, do you think you should practice? Yes. Yes. And do you think the person, the amateur that shows up once in a while is going to win the business over the specialist who's always there? No, they don't. The specialist is going to win every time. The trick is to be the specialist. So if you want better results, you have to be better. If you want to be better, you got to practice. So practice your scripts, practice previewing, practice the studying the market trends. And that's it. That's it. You'll be fine. Jamie says, learn from personality types. Mark, you know this. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand how people process. And the perennial is the DISC profile, in which you have drivers, influencers, steady, and compliance. And you want to speak people's language. This is, I mean, when it all boils down to, influence is about communication. And if I'm speaking Japanese to you and you don't speak Japanese, we're not going to get very far. So I want to speak your language, and I would highly recommend digging into different personality types. Understand that so you can see it and communicate in language in which they can hear.
And this is starting with the end in mind, and the end being, in this case, the client that you're meeting. Hopefully you've done some pre-qualifications. And when you do those pre-quals, you'll understand the kind of personality you may be talking to, hopefully. And if you're well understanding of those things, you'll be able to. I don't know them that well. I know what they are. I don't know if I could write them on a test, but I'm a driver. Is that a D? Is that what D stands for? I think that's my personality. I like to get to it.
Bottom line it.
Yeah, I don't really get too emotional. Sometimes I get worked up, but I don't start worked up. And I'm analytical. I can find myself in an analytical state, certainly. What's the other?
So John, let me best describe it this way in a real quick joke. King Louis decided to execute 4 noblemen. And one was a D, one was an I, one was an S, and one was a C. And he had a special guillotine, a 4-headed guillotine created, brought the 4 noblemen out, declared their crimes. And the executioner laid them down and he pulled the lever. The guillotine just dropped and stopped a fraction of a hair above their necks. Well, King Louis said, "Oh my gosh, this is a sign from God. These people must be innocent. Release them." Well, the first nobleman, who was a D, got up and said, "Had you listened to me to begin with, King, you would have not been in this predicament." The I turned to the crowd and said, "Party at my house." The S turned to the executioner and said, "I just want you to know there's no hard feelings. We can get past this." And the C looked down and said, "Hey, I think I figured out why this didn't work." So those are the different personalities.
Right. And just to bring it back around, I'll tell you this. When I'm talking to somebody who isn't like me, I can get frustrated, I get bored, I can start to space out. And think about other people. If I'm a hard D and you want to go through the numbers, but I'll give you an example. I was at Home Depot yesterday. I'm going to tell you this story. I go to buy this stuff. I'm redoing the fence. Me and my son are there. We're doing the fence at our house. I'm buying those planks that fill in the fence, right? And I get there and the gal working the register says, "Do you want to say $75 on your purchase today?" I'm like, all right, let's talk about this for a minute. My purse is going to be $120. You're going to save me $75. How's this work? Just sign up for our Home Depot card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, what's the catch? No catch. Seriously, what's the catch? I got $115 thing here. You're gonna give me $75. What's the catch? No catch. All you have to do is just sign up for our Home Depot card. And she's just putting pressure on me. I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, let me do it. So it pops up, right? Okay, what's your address? I'm like, okay, all right, I give my address. What's your phone? All right, if there's going to be any obligation to this, I don't want to buy this. I'm never going to use this card. I don't want to have to pay to get out of it. Oh no, you'll be able to get out. You don't have to buy anything. Okay, because I signed up for a Best Buy card and I got all this stuff and I never wanted any of it. And I'm still, no. So I hesitantly gave him my phone. What's your Social Security?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, wait a minute. What? Why does it need my Social Security? It's no big deal. Just give me your Social Security. Well, pause. Oh, what's going on here? No, they're just asking for your Social Security. And she talked me into it. So I gave my Social Security. And then they're like, okay, your address doesn't match up with whatever. And she said, so what's going on? Oh, that address is a house I own with my daughter. She's like, oh, okay, just put in this address. And I just said, you know what? Pause. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. I'm canceling. What do you mean you're canceling? You don't want to cancel. This is so easy. You're almost there. I'm like, this is going to save me $75. I need the money just like anybody, but it's $75 not going to change my life. Oh, no, you don't want to do it. This is so you're there. It's not going to cause you. She just started going into this desperation thing. And I was just punching, cancel. And she's looking at me, all right, if you want to, but I don't know why you're doing it. I'm like, why isn't it canceling? And that was a personality difference and all kinds of things. So my point is, and I don't know what my point is, but the moral of any story, I suppose, is make sure you're matching who you're trying to deal with. Right? And you get better results. Are you able to do that, Destiny? Do you know that well enough?
I've gotten pretty good at it. I think in my history in this, I've only dealt with D's, high D's, and I'm an I, so it's been a challenge, but learning to kind of meet where they're at and accommodate what they need. They want the information and they want it straight cut. They don't want the charts. They don't want the pictures. They don't want the bells and whistles. They tell me how this is going to get done and let's get it done.
Love it.
So yeah, and I think did we go over that in Ninja Selling?
Yeah.
In that class, yeah, Ninja Selling is a great book that talks a lot about that.
I think you do yourself a favor if you role play conversations that convert, like Jamie's saying here. Also, role play with personality styles, and so you can pick them up quickly and you can adjust. Now, if you've done this as long as I have, you can get there if you're paying attention, but you can shortcut it if you specifically try to do some things like that.
And I think that's it. You have to practice, like you said, with that personality type, but practice listening because that all comes out in those first initial conversations. I think that's what we struggle with when we first start is not listening, and that takes practice in itself is just to actively listen.
That's huge because if you're practicing listening and asking questions over than just talking, you're going to win. Great scripts have great questions.
Awesome. Couldn't agree more. Here's another one. Let me put it up here. Take a notebook with you when you go on previews. And that notebook might just be your phone and the video aspect of it. You want to create a library that only you have. Let's be honest. If you did that, if you previewed a house every day for the next year, 5 days a week, right? Was it 52 weeks still? So 5 times 5 is 20. That's 250 homes you're going to go in ish that you're going to have video of. Is that better than almost any MLS already? I mean, those houses are going to go under contract and sell, and yet you're still going to own the video.
Right.
So you're still going to have a history of what that place looks like, even though it's not in the MLS.
John, imagine doing that over 5 years.
Yeah, over a career.
Cycle through and you go, yeah, I previewed this back on this. Here were my notes. Here are the things. It looks like those changes. The value of that is enormous.
Think about it. Massively helpful. What else do you practice, Mark?
Well, to mention that is practice asking questions. And that comes from every day, sit down and write out 10 to 15 questions. Practice curiosity. Practice your negotiation skills. A great book to get is Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and practice the scripts of negotiation. And you're going to win because it's lead generation, lead follow-up, go on appointments, negotiate contracts, and practice your conversation skills.
Here's another one, stats. If you come in every Monday and you simply write down some very simple stats for the neighborhoods you're trying to dominate, number of listings, number of pendings, number of closings, average price per sale, average price per listing, just write them down every week. And then you can come in the next week and just see, are they up, down, or flat? Come in the next week. Is it up, down, or flat? And you will quickly understand what's going on. And if you keep them in some sort of a record, you can go back and you can do this in the MLS. But if you're doing it day to day, you can quickly understand where you're at in the moment. But you can go back in your notes and see, how did this neighborhood compare at this time last year? Quickly, easily. And from that alone, you become the specialist who's circling rather than the amateur who shows up when the party starts.
And John, to that point, track your own stats.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where you're going to see your trends. You're going to know if you're tracking, if you're behind, if you're ahead, where you may need to improve in your conversions. If you do not track your own stats, you're just like licking your finger and holding it up in the air and saying, I hope I get, instead of I know how to get.
For sure. And it will definitely matter. So to win the day, figure out what you're going to practice. I would start with scripts. All right. Because once you know what to say, your confidence goes way up. Right. And you feel better about talking to people you don't know. And then I would preview, which goes into practice, my properties in the neighborhoods I want to dominate. Right. Because now that I know what to say, if I go preview, I have confidence in my ability to compare and contrast properties based on physically being in there, not just simply looking at a place. I'll give you a little note on that. In the movie Good Will Hunting, if you haven't seen it, there's a scene where Robin Williams is talking to Matt Damon's character, Will, I think it is, plays Will. And he's talking about, Ron Williams is saying something to him. Yeah, you've read about all these places and all these things, but you've never been there. You can probably tell me what Michelangelo was thinking and paints he used and brush strokes that he used in the Sistine Chapel when he painted the ceiling there. You can tell me all about that, but what you cannot tell me is what it smells like there, what it feels like when you're in there looking at that, and what it's truly about. You're missing that. And that's the same analogy that comes up when you preview. You can read all you want, but until you've been there, you have not been there.
So
There's
good.
no way about it. And then the market trends. If you can study those market trends, so you have some sort of, I don't know, fortune telling capabilities by, the past doesn't always indicate what's going to happen in the future, but it's certainly a pretty good indicator. And it's really the only one we have. So go back and look. I mean, if every year for 40 years, May through June is a selling season where 30% more houses sell or X number come on the market or whatever, you can kind of predict that, right? If you know that in certain economic cycles, we know that we're going into an election. I know from paying attention and listening, watching, hearing, all that stuff, before elections, especially when the world's on fire and we have a couple wars going on, we've got a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, and a crazy election coming, people stop making big purchases. A house is a big purchase. So you see the number of transactions just fall off. Cars are falling off. Just people are going to wait. Let's just wait and see what happens. Not a good indicator for the next 4 or 5 months, but it is what it is, right? So if you can talk to people about things like that, you're going to win.
Mhm.
So if you want to win the day, go practice. Practice your scripts, preview, bring your camera. It's on your phone, so you'll bring it. Study the market trends. All right. Because when you do all that, I'm almost confident, not almost confident, I am confident. And I can almost guarantee you will win the day every day.
And John, I can say the best time to practice your scripts is when you're making your calls, get good at it while you're doing it. That's your dress rehearsal, as I
Like
like to
Barry
call
used to
it.
say, they don't know you're practicing.
That's right.
Right. So pay attention while you're doing something. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know if that's the best time, Destiny. I think the best time is to practice before you talk to people so you can be in the moment listening actively.
Mhm.
But if you haven't, don't put it off, lead gen.
Right.
Practice in the moment.
Yeah.
That's better than not. Right?
I think it's just
Agree
such a
on that?
good way to track how your conversations go based on what you're saying. And okay, I need to tweak this. I need to not say this or remove this word and say this one instead. That's why I like just getting in there.
For sure. Because you don't need to be perfect.
Right.
Absolutely. Do not wait until you're perfect. It'll be a long way.
Mhm.
Just get in there and start doing. You'll find a better you no matter what.
Mhm.
All right. So don't have a bad call and freak out. Or
Right.
bad interview and freak out. Just
Yeah.
say, oh, that was bad. What happened? Why did it go bad? Was I prepared? Did I
Right.
say the right things? Did I do the right things? Or where do I need to be better? And then get better. Pretty simple. All right, Mark, you got anything to add on that?
No, I think it's spot on. Look, do it, plan it, do it, review it, improve it, and stay in that cycle.
Mhm.
Jamie says mirror match is exactly 100% what you want to do. Hey, we got a lender coming in. He's going to talk about tomorrow. He's going to talk about what's going on in the mortgage industry, what to expect out of the Fed, what to expect out of the election, and as we move forward. And if you're in Florida, he's going to talk a little bit about the reserves for condo buildings. That's a big issue right now. All right, so there you go. Let's go to work. Let's win the day today. All right.
Bye,
See you all
guys.
tomorrow. Bye now.